So I love the progressiveness of the mission of Little B Books, right? And I think personally, I feel that change and being progressive is always going to be the way of humankind, human nature, and education is the key to that, right? And that's what you're bringing in from your books. But with a mission of being progressive, it does ruffle feathers. There's always a subset of the population, whether large or small, that is not always up for change. So there has been, I believe, sometimes you get some backlash or for the books that you release, or they've been banned or things like that. What would you like to say about that? And how would you like to change the narrative, so that these books don't get banned or you don't receive backlash when you're trying to educate on subjects that are really relevant today?
hmm So, very obviously, so we're proud of what we stand for and our mission. And while backlash is expected, because we understand many people come from different backgrounds and different backgrounds of thought, the backlash doesn't really phase us. If anything, it serves to drive us. Um, we're trying to change a narrative by not shying away from tougher subjects. We live in a world where children have to fear guns in safe places like schools. So combating ignorance starts with education, and that's what we're looking to accomplish. And even though our books might hit ban list books or we might receive backlash, if anything, it just further serves to help us know that the purpose of our publishing and the purpose of the mission of the company is more important and relevant than ever. And it drives us to do more.
Great. So let's take the conversation towards, specifically your path towards being a founder of Little B Books, right? So you are the co-founder, and we love talking on this podcast specifically about entrepreneurship. Your path was unique. Maybe you can describe that journey.
Sure. I think what's most unique about my path is I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. It was never a goal of mine. It was something that I slowly built my way to, and now I can't imagine a life not doing this. But it was never the path that I set for myself. So I first started off in publishing as an assistant, as many people in publishing do. Publishing is very much an industry where you start at the bottom and you have to work your way up through the top, through to the top. And I spent 8 years working at Sterling Publishing, which was the in-house publishing arm for Barnes and Noble, which still is. And in those 8 years, I had the ability to do many different jobs. I had 8 roles and I had really amazing experience there. And I was very lucky in that I started off in sales and I spent 5 years in sales, but I was able to make the move to editorial, which is not something that happens very easily in publishing. And that taught me a lot about the full scope of the industry. And I think that was really the first step for me to being an entrepreneur, because if I was very siloed in the role that I was doing, I would have never understood the larger picture. And so much about being an entrepreneur is not only understanding, but learning the bigger picture. Because being an entrepreneur means you have to be macro in so many different things you do. Even if you are a micro person, you have to learn to see the larger picture. So to me, step one in this path was recognizing that I wanted to do this. Step two was getting this amazing opportunity to start a publishing company for Bonnier in the US. I started Little B Books in February of 2014. At the time, we were not independent. We were actually started by Bonnier, which is a 200-plus-year-old, $4 billion privately held Swedish conglomerate. And they have they have arms in book publishing, magazine publishing, and throughout all different forms of media. And what I did for them was they wanted to start a children's book publisher in New York, and that's what I did with Little B Books. I worked for them for 5 years, and those 5 years, we started up Little B Books from scratch. We also acquired a company in San Francisco called Weldon Owen, which is an adult nonfiction publisher. So for those 5 years, I ran those two companies for them. And then about 2 years ago, I got the amazing opportunity to buy Little B Books. So now for 2 years, we've been independent, and we've been able to take this business that we created and made our own, and then actually make it our own. And that's been a really amazing opportunity and something I feel really blessed to do day in and day out.